Get ready to take a look behind the scenes and enter the impossible for the Between Two Minds podcast with our hosts, Judge Mentalist and Bernardo Rodriguez. Can they really tell you what you're thinking? Get ready to take a look behind the scenes and enter the impossible for the Between.
Woo! There you go. What just happened? When you haven't done one of these in several months, you log back into the platform, you forget to turn the audio off a loop, which happened after I played the audio before hitting record. So we are getting all the bugs out. This is Judge Mentalist, your host on the Between Two Minds Behind the Scenes podcast, as we get ready for the upcoming Performing Hypnosis Summit. You can see the logo up in that corner right there. We are bringing back our wonderful, exciting preview talks, and we are working on, over the course of the next few weeks, trying to get everybody who is speaking or scheduled to speak at this conference, which is at the end of January 2026. This will be the third in-person, fourth overall, because year one was rolling right out of COVID and was done completely virtually. I'm going to waste no more time because this is super exciting. This next one is carrying on a legacy, doing amazing things in the world, and you need to know about it. You need to be aware of it and be ready. And I'm assuming it's available already as an add-on post-conference. But without further ado, Tommy G.
Hey, what's going on?
Good afternoon. How are you?
Man, every day's a good day. Just, living the chaos, loving the dream.
Gotta love it. Welcome to the world of being a hypnotist, right?
Yeah.
Before we get too far in here, this is a reminder from Brian Bay, who will be on this podcast Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern time. A link here, which I don't know if you're going to be able to click it from here, but I'll make sure I update it. If you're watching this, find it on YouTube. You might have some feedback coming through there, Tommy.
Yeah, let me fix that real quick here.
So this link, I'll make sure goes in the YouTube description afterwards to get the discounted code for hotel at the Gold Coast for the 2026 Performing Hypnosis Summit. It's always odd to say that because most of these interviews are in the year before the actual conference. So I'm talking about a year that's not on the radar yet, almost all the time until I get to the last ones here. So I think we got the sound problem ironed out with that. So let's get into, you are doing a post-conference for a micro certification involving the relatively new Tom Silver Foundation. So I'm going to let you just kind of take it and run with it. Fill in anybody who might not know what the Tom Silver Foundation is, what the goals are, what you've already been doing, and what they can be a part of by dropping into this post-conference.
Yeah, I'm really, really pumped for this. So Tom Silver, actually, I met him because of your podcast. The only reason I went to the conference last year, because I planned on going this coming year, was because Tom was going to be there, and I made it a point to be there because it was too important, and worked out. Obviously, it was supposed to happen. Tom and I became really fast friends there, exchanged information. We were talking every day after the conference, and for hours a day, we were talking pretty much every day after the conference. And then he passed away in May, at the end of May. And his wife and his daughter Mariah and Israel and I got to talking about forming this foundation to keep his legacy alive, but also to really further what he was working on, which was bringing back legitimacy to the world of hypnosis in a scientific kind of way. He was so into the science of it all, and not just saying, well, this works because it works. It was like, well, let's dissect this. Let's show it to medical professionals. He was working with doctors and psychiatrists and psychologists and and anybody who was really willing to see it. But he was using the EEG and hooking people up to it and all of that. And so he was really, really pushing for not dismantling the woo-woo around hypnosis, but emphasizing the science behind it, right? The science that makes it work so that it would reach a wider audience of people who could then make it truly legitimate. Because most people don't know that hypnosis was generally used by doctors as it was coming up over the years, and then it's just recently that it's not the case. So yeah, Tom was an amazing performer. He was always high energy. He was always really engaging with not just the people on stage, but the audience themselves. And he was on all those TV shows and all that. He just had this like energy about him and the charisma about him. And it made it really exciting to just be in his presence. And one of the things, you know, outside of our mission in the Tom Silver Foundation to expand the science of hypnosis and to do mind body wellness, which is really our like big core message that we're really pushing out there. That's our mission, is to blow this whole thing up. We want to do trainings. We want to do free sessions for people who can't afford them. We want to do like get into the communities. We want to have certified hypnotists through our foundation worldwide so that we have all these fingers out there that are doing all of this work as well and just spreading the goodness of what hypnosis offers to the world. But Tom was also a performer, which is why he was at the conference last year, the summit last year. And
yeah, let's jump in with that so we can kind of pull this apart and then put it back together, because a lot of folks, especially in the context of PHS, will know Tom from being one of America's favorite or TV's favorite hypnotists. He was on all of the places that would have somebody of his caliber. He did a presentation last year on how for a solid decade, he was the hypnotist for the NBA. He would do halftime shows all over the country, tons of entertainment stuff, which at the Performing Hypnosis Summit, it's a group full of folks who are either doing this or working their way to get into this. The passion that he took for the reality of the healing and change work, I think is super important. We've talked, obviously not on this channel, but also some on this channel, about some of the goals and hopes that I have, which totally and 100% align with what you're doing, because I'm a stage guy. I'm an entertainment guy. It's what I do, but I have this passion for healing, and to be able to do it in certain kind of groups, and not necessarily as something that I publicize, not something that I, quote, hold myself out to publicly to be the guy who does X, Y, and Z, but to be able to do it and give back to those communities that like you're working with and have already done sessions with veterans organizations in Las Vegas. And I know that's just the beginning to what you have going on. But to kind of circle back, this is something that you might immediately think is out of place for PHS, but it's not. It is that, you when you start to build your profile, you should, I believe, want to find a way to give back. This is a great way to do it that stays in the vein of what it is we do.
Yeah, and I firmly believe that performing hypnotists make the best hypnotherapists. I am a firm believer in that, and I know that there are a lot that's going to probably cause someone to be up in arms or something, but you know what, everything does, right? So this is the internet, but I am a firm believer in what made, and Tom was the same way, because I was of the mindset that I shouldn't be doing hypnotherapy sessions with people because I wasn't qualified. I didn't go through that training. I didn't go get certified through HMI or whatever these other groups are, NGH and all of them. I was pretty much, Michael Brody got me started in hypnosis 20 years ago, and I just took it from there and was like watching videos and like reading books and just trying new things on my own. and then watching Mike at his shows and seeing, what can I emulate there and what can I take from that? Just what we all do. And Tom is the one who pulled me aside and said, "You're not doing hypnotherapy. You're doing yourself a disservice and you're doing the world a disservice, because the skills that we have from the stage translate so beautifully to the clinical sessions. You would be amazed at the results that you can get, because that's where performing hypnotists, stage and comedy hypnotists have an edge. Is number one, we don't use scripts. We are in the moment. We're there. And we are like, we might have an idea of where something will go, but we also are very improv. We're very like, something's going to come up that we didn't expect, and we're just ready for it, because that happens every single show. Something comes up that we weren't prepared for mentally, and we have to just roll with it, because we're in front of sometimes hundreds or thousands of people, and we have to just maintain that composure and do it. And when we do it, the results are incredible. And that's the other piece, is we're getting super rapid results with people. We have to, because that's the only way the show is going to remain interesting to anybody. And if the session is interesting to the individual being hypnotized, they're going to do better. So a performer, someone who has that energy, who has that charisma, who has the skills in their wheelhouse that allow them to very rapidly get them into a state of really profound hypnosis and get results quickly and show them the results quickly, and make it interactive and engaging, those people are going to want to send other people to you for those as well. And it's going to have a better effect. And that's what I've found in working with, clients. I've almost exclusively done clinical work since PHS, which is weird to say, because this is my first full year doing almost exclusively clinical work. I avoided it like the plague before. But I think the skills that you learn as a performing hypnotist translate so perfectly into the clinical setting. And Tom was of that mindset too. And so that's kind of what I wanted to bring into this post-conference training, is I wanted to share some of the techniques that he used in the clinical setting. I'm kind of flipping it a little bit, because Tom did, different techniques on stage than he did in the clinical practice, and that's fine. But I've found that the techniques that he was doing in the clinical practice over Zoom are so powerful and just impactful and effective, and they're so fast that they work on entire audiences. I've had entire audiences go through an induction technique, and I see hundreds of people drop down in their seats. And it's, number one, that sort of thing as a B-roll kind of thing for your reels and stuff. That's an attention getter. Like watching a whole audience, a whole group of people. It's different when they're on stage, right? That's pretty cool to see. But when you see the audience do it and the people next to them going, that's a game changer. So some of that kind of stuff, some of the engagement piece I'm going to be going through, and how Tom was able to like maintain that energy on stage, some of the verbiage that he changed to make it so that it was more relatable, and getting consent and all of those. We're going to cover all of that in this 1-day training, and we're calling it a micro certification, because Tom's full certification course is like a full 5 days of really hands-on. But this is going to be hands-on, and I'm going to teach 2, maybe 3 of those induction techniques, and we're going to practice on each other. I'm going to show it, and you're going to do it, and we're going to make sure that you walk away with the skills to go out and do this, put it into practice. And whether you're using it on stage or you're using it in the clinical setting, I use these in both, and it's just so powerful and so cool to see it. And so I'm really excited to share this with everybody.
Yeah, it's really good stuff. And I want to encourage anybody who is a stage performer, even if you don't want to take it that next step, even if you don't envision yourself ever, even in a giving back setting, doing a single clinical session ever, learn this stuff, because I started purely entertainment. And then out of curiosity, out of a desire to expand my knowledge, I went through the Mike Mandel trainings online. Took me a while because I have a lot of stuff going on. So locking into something that's self-guided, not so easy for me. But I found that the more and more I learned, the more and more I expanded my knowledge, it changed almost nothing about what I was saying and what I was doing on stage. But the mindset, the mentality, which bred an even higher level of confidence and prestige, that emanated and surrounded me. And I'm confident that it has made my shows step up a level just from that. A larger percentage of the people that should be coming up on my stage are coming up on my stage and staying up on my stage and becoming absolute knockout amazing participants in that show. So even if you don't ever plan, whether it be in a one-on-one, a Zoom setting, a group setting, or what have you, to ever do anything that's intended to be clinical, you're doing yourself an absolute service by learning this and expanding your knowledge base. And if you're going that next level as a performer to get yourself out there, to be on podcasts, not necessarily like this one where we're talking about where we're going to go talk about a thing, but just as an entertainer going out there and talking on podcasts, I guarantee you're going to get questions about clinical use, and you're going to look, you open the door to the potential of looking like an idiot if you don't have an answer or a knowledge base to back it up. But it's also going to open the door to some very, very interesting conversations that are what you want to do. You're not just going to shill some show, some product, some whatever. You should be a memorable, interesting person having an interesting conversation. Otherwise, you're wasting your time and anybody listening to that podcast time by doing so.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and here's one of the things too, because I mentioned I mentioned, some of these other organizations that do certifications and things like that. A lot of them are strictly teaching you how to read scripts and write scripts and things like that. And what I found is I think because there were no scripts to use for stage, it forces you to get good at not using a script, and that causes you to get more organic, as Vinny Brigance talks about organic hypnosis, right? There's no scripting involved. It's just feeding off of the person that's there with you. You're going back and forth, and you're going into trance essentially with them in this exploration. And when you can get away from script use, then it turns into the next time you're on a plane next to somebody and they have a fear of flying, you can just work with them, right? And how much more impactful is that than saying, well, I'm a hypnotist, but I don't really do that. Or, I would need a special session with you. Whereas like, if you really understand the science about hypnosis and why it works and how it works and all of that, then you can just conversationally create it within somebody. And you can do that with your audiences too. But, I've had people after shows who they've come up to me, and we all know the effect, those of us who've done shows, of someone who came up on stage and they were in pain before they were on stage. After the show, they're not in any pain anymore, right? And they just are like, what happened here? I had a headache and now I don't. And we can explain that away. Well, there's also the piece too, when we talk to people after the shows, a lot of times people will come up to us and they'll say, hey, do you help with X, Y, or Z? And, I'll just kind of lay out, here's the things that I find the most impactful, really, that are really easy to kind of knock out with hypnosis. And, one of those things being pain. And almost always somebody's got some kind of pain going on in the audience. And I've had people in 3 minutes go from a 10 out of 10 to a 0. And it's just a matter of just talking to them through it, right? And that makes a believer more than watching their friends on stage does, because they've just experienced it. And so when you learn some of these kinds of techniques, I end all of my shows with a little bit of hypnotherapy just built in. It's very generic, but I always end the shows with the participants getting some kind of hypnotic gift from me, right? And that's the way I word it. And it's just it's a Tom technique that I use, but I think we've separated the two so much that I think people in one field are often afraid to go into the other. And I love to see, like at conferences like these, that gap get bridged.
Absolutely. So let's go down and get the details taken care of here. This is a post-conference at the upcoming Performing Hypnosis Summit. So people register through the PHS website?
I believe so. I haven't checked to see if the link is up there for it. I know I sent it over, and I will make sure that it's shared. But with that, so the cost of it is, it's a $500 micro certification the day after the conference, that Monday, and 25% of that,
which is the 26th, by the way.
Yes, the 26th. Yeah, thank you. And 25% of that counts as it's considered a charitable donation to the Tom Silver Foundation, 501c3 non-for-profit, non-profit, not non-for-profit. But it's a 501c3 organization. And so it is, that 25% is categorized on the receipt as a donation and is a tax write-off for you. So you get to give a little back to the foundation for the mission that we're doing. We have right now, really no one's getting paid in the foundation. We're just putting all of this together for Tom's memory and out of love for him and the community, and trying to get this out there and push it forward. But it's really all just, it's out of our own time, and it's a lot of work. And so doing things like this helps fund our whole mission. It helps fund everything that we're trying to do. So we wanted to make the whole thing tax deductible. It wasn't possible. We looked into like the code and all that kind of stuff. It just wasn't possible to do that as a tuition kind of thing. But we were able to split it that way so that it was like, okay, this is the way it is. So yeah, I hope the link is up there. If it's not, I'll follow up with those guys. I know, I'm pretty sure I sent it over, and so I'll just double check with that. But
when you get that link, send it to me as well. That way, in the rewatch on YouTube, it'll also be down in the description. Is it all day, the post conference? What's the schedule look like?
Yeah, it's a full day. It's a full day. Plan on being there, for let's see, what plan on an 8-hour day, right? Like a full kind of, we'll have a break in there. We'll have a couple breaks in there, and just plan on it going. The idea is we're going to practice to the point, we're going to study it. We're going to practice it to the point where you leave feeling confident in these techniques, that you can just go out and do them. I don't like the idea that I just show you something and we do it once or twice and then there you go, you've got it. Like, you may have it after 1 or 2 attempts. I'd rather really make sure, especially if I'm signing my name onto a certificate for you or something like that. I want to be able to say, and that's one thing Tom was very particular about, was if he was certifying you for something, he needed to see that you could do it. Right. And we want to be very picky about that too. It doesn't mean that if you can't do it at the end of this whole thing that you won't get any kind of, certification or whatever. It just means that I'm going to work with you on my own as well, probably, and just make sure that you've got it, because, we're going to figure that out together. Because I think if you pay the money, you got to get the skills, and they're simple enough that I think any of us could really do them, but we're just not aware of them. And so that's really what it comes down to. But it'll be a full day. Plan for a full day, and we'll really dive in deep with it. Maybe Fantastic. Even go over a little bit more than what I have listed. We'll see what we got time for.
Awesome. So that's going to be fantastic. It's a wonderful extension to not only the Performing Hypnosis Summit in Las Vegas, but to your career as a performer, as a hypnotist, however you want to categorize yourself. Add that knowledge, add that tool to the toolbox, and you won't be disappointed with it. The people that, as you said, that you talk to casually before and after shows, on airplanes and in other random places, you're just filling out the resume. You're filling out everything that you have to present to people, which is fantastic. month and a half away, friends. So get yourselves over to performinghypnosissummit.com. I will make sure that the link that Brian sent for the discounted room block, which I believe you have until December 21st. Is that what he said? Did he say it in there? I'm trying to re-find it. Yeah, you have till December 21st. You can, unless the hotel gets sold out, you can still book a room there. It just won't be discounted with the room block. And you want to do that because Vegas has gotten a bit expensive in the past year or two, and this helps curb those costs. And if you're doing this, make sure that you're staying that additional night of the 26th, which is that Monday, and don't leave till Vegas has flights coming in and out 24/7, so you may find something that suits your needs, but relax, take the day, be there an extra day if you can, learn this great stuff. Any last thoughts before we let everybody go?
No, I'm really I'm grateful to Grant and Sean and Brian and everybody who's just been super supportive of making sure that we keep Tom's legacy alive and working with the foundation on doing all of this. It's been a labor of love, but it's also a lot of work, and it's really nice to have people like that in your corner to just kind of help boost it and make it that much easier. So yeah, I can't wait to be there. Really looking forward to spending some time with amazing people again, and then getting to share this incredible man's incredible work.
Fantastic. All right, so that's all we got for now. Like I said, if you're watching this after the fact on YouTube, the additional links should be in the description there. Dot's asking about the block not including discounts on Sunday. That may be the case because I think that the discount on the room block only runs the natural course of the conference. I'm going to have Brian look into maybe extending that discount a day. I don't know if you're still on here, Brian. If not, I'll shoot you a message afterwards to see if that might be something that can be arranged with the Gold Coast. I'm sure that they'll work with after Brian calls them, because I can't imagine a Monday being a super high traffic hotel day for a largely locals Vegas casino. So Brian Bay, you've heard it here live. This is kind of like Brian's got the message. So we'll get this all worked out. Check for updates on that. I'll make sure that I post something. And you know what? You're going to get the ultimate update Thursday, 2 days from now. That is the 11th. This same time on these same channels, because I'm going to have the Brian Bay on here for a talk about PHS generally. So I'm sure that it's a phone call for him to extend that discount block by a day. We will absolutely get it confirmed by the end of the week. And Dot, who is concerned about them updating pricing, your reservation is completely and 100% refundable up until the day before the conference. So if they won't verbally change your price because Brian's gotten the discount extended, then cancel your reservation and rebook it under the block, and then it'll apply. Just don't do it till we confirm all this on Thursday. I'm not trying to tell you to not do it, but you know, we'll get it all sorted out for you. We're going to get it really good and maximize any discount that we can get for everybody in that room block. So yeah, tune in, and we're going to have more of these coming. Generally, the calendar is going to be 2 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then I expect, like with some of the other conferences, people will last minute try to get in the last week or week and a half before. So look out as we get into mid-January for there to probably be more than just Tuesday and Thursday. It's going to be a great time. Lots to learn for everybody, whether you are a seasoned veteran, brand new getting into this, or somewhere in between. We'll see you there in a month and a half, everybody. So thanks for tuning in, and have a great week.
Thank you for tuning in to the Between Two Minds Behind the Scenes podcast. Be sure to follow us on social media under Between Two Minds with the number 2 instead of TWO, or under Enter the Impossible. Thank you, and we hope to see you back for the next episode.